So I watched a video before from AutoTrader. I don't want to keep going on about AutoTrader, but they are the biggest name in the motor trade.
We've already seen that come to fruition, with electric inquiries doubling in just one day on AutoTrader since the day of the announcement.
I'm afraid they're taking you for mugs. I'm sorry, but if you believe that, and you believe percentages, you are a mug. So consequently, I think people will think what they say. In fact, somebody called me out on it the other day. I think he said something like, believe a grumpy old man, or AutoTrader, the biggest name in the motor trade. I get that, which is why I always try and put facts in my videos. Or in their case, when they come up with facts, I don't try to prove them wrong. I offer my opinion and the facts that I can see and my experience. Now, this morning, it seems to be the way they conveniently miss things out.
My third and final takeaway for July is about the recent announcement of the electric car grant from the UK government. As I'm sure you're aware, the announcement means that any vehicles that are purchased of a brand new electric vehicle of £37,000 and under, consumers will save up to £3,750 off of that vehicle. A fantastic way to stimulate growth in the market. We've already seen that come to fruition, with electric inquiries doubling in just one day on AutoTrader since the day of the announcement.
So, inquiries doubled in one day. And here on AutoTrader Insight, latest pricing data reinforces a significant price gap between new electric vehicles, EVs, and 2 to 3 year old models, as market forces have caused used EVs to match petrol and diesel alternatives to attract buyers. Market forces have forced them below because if there's a choice between petrol and diesel and an EV, it would seem that people will go for the petrol. There's only a small percentage of EVs out there on the market, and you know, of the 7.5 million sold last year, the majority, 97.5% of the 7.5 million sold were ICE vehicles. So, you know, let that sink in. AutoTrader are like, you know, they're like percentages. Used EVs made up 2.5%. So get that in your head. 97.5. They didn't even make up half the increase. Right? So let's get that percentages. So then any increase now, even a small number, will be a high percentage, which is why they always report in percentages. Now listen to this. While the new electric car grant may stimulate demand for new EVs, used EVs remain an attractive option thanks to their affordability. Well, thanks to their affordability, and thank you so much to the new owners who bought them and have lost an absolute fortune, including you leasing companies out there, which AutoTrader have. Lex lost, you know, turnaround of 500 million. The other ones, I can't remember, are they called Kestrel or something? Whatever they're called, you know, they're busily trying to extend the contracts. In fact, a chap come the other day, I've got my volt test battery state of health meter, and I asked if anybody wanted the battery testing. He came across, I tested his battery was good. You know, I'm not knocking his battery was good. It was leased, he's already extended it, and he's going to extend it again because it's for absolutely nothing. But the thing is, the leasing company will snatch his hand off, because if they sell that vehicle now, they'll lose a packet and they'll have to realise a loss, which they won't want to do. They'll be putting off as much as they possibly can. While the new electric car grant may stimulate demand for new EVs, used EVs remain an attractive option thanks to their affordability and the people who bought them new losing a fortune. In fact, we've seen a clear uptick in consumer interest in used electric models on AutoTrader since the announcement, reinforcing the trend that EV shoppers explore both new and used options. Why would they do that? Tell me, do ICE car owners explore that? When they explore them, Perhaps, do you think they're learning the lesson? Perhaps they look at a new EV and perhaps then they go on to AutoTrader to see how much it's going to be worth in the future, to get an idea, to go on AT Price Tracker and to see how many dealers have had to reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce and will be blowing the brains out, and how long the vehicles have been for sale. Perhaps they're thinking that. Perhaps that's why they look at new vehicles and used vehicles. Can AutoTrader track whether they've looked at a used vehicle first and then a new vehicle? I'm sure they can, if they wanted to. So you could actually drill down and kind of properly guess their motive using AutoTrader's insight and figures. Do they want to know? Do they really want to know? Do they want to admit that it's cheaper to buy a new EV than it is to buy on finance, on a lease, on a PCP? Do they want to know? Do they want to tell you that basically there's a no man's land of EVs, and it's 12 months to 2 years, because the new ones are coming down so much and being discounted so much, and now they've got a government grant. All those people with demos, they're going to have to wipe their mouth now. All those people that are pre-registered to hit the targets, they will be in pain. Absolute pain. Their only chance, let me tell you, how I would do it, I would know I've got no chance of making any money. I've got no chance of doing a mutually beneficial deal. The only deal I could do now is a deal that benefits the customer who's coming to buy it. And then, if I do him a fair deal, I stand a chance of recouping some of my losses, because if I take in a cheaper EV that will sell quickly and I can get a margin across it and sell it quickly, then I'm going to do that. But what I want, I'd be telling my salesman to hit the phones, go through the prospecting system, see who's got an opportunities to do business book for a start. Best thing in the motor trade. I used to keep my own. Opportunities to do business. If somebody comes in a car that you have had an inquiry for, then you can give them a bit more money. You can even, I'll just have a word with the sales manager. You go in another office, you've got your contact card, ring him up. Hey, Mr. Customer, I've just got a guy in that I'm trying to deal. This is his car, looks beautiful. It's just what you're looking for. If I can get it you at the right price, can we have a deal? If he says yes, that's it. If he says, well, I'll have to see it, I'll have to think about it, it's still a possible. But how important is an opportunity to do business? And how important is it for me to be able to say to that customer, Mr. Customer, I can do you a fantastic deal. I have somebody waiting for your part exchange. And give him more. Give him more to take it in. Take a small percentage profit on the next one. And if that other customer has got a car that you're going to go on with, then do it again. So years and years ago, I was at a training course, and I've done a blog on it called The Good, the Bad and the Aussie. And there was a bad, devious sales guy, and then there was this Aussie, and we'd all had a few drinks. The Aussie, am I allowed to call him an Aussie? I'm sure I am, but anyway. So this Australian guy, lovely bloke, so we'd had a couple of pints. He worked in a dealership at the end of a long straight road. They had a spotter, okay? A spotter on the roof with a walkie-talkie. And it'd be, Bruce, there's a guy coming up here with a 2020 Holden. It's in red, and whatever model it is. And the guy downstairs would have a big blackboard. One of them he'd wipe out, and then he'd write it, Mr. Such and Such body looking for red Holden, whatever model it is, year. A guy'd come in, g'day, how can I help you? And the customer would come in and say, I'm just here, I'm just browsing, I'm just here to look at such and such a model. And the salesman would say, do you have a part exchange? Yeah. What's your part exchange? It's a Holden. it's a Holden. What colour is it? It's red. What year is it? Oh, look, it's your lucky day. I've got a customer who I can pick the phone up and say, am I going to do you a great deal? That's the extent to which they went. A spotter with binoculars, and, it's almost like there's a prison guard coming, put the spade away. It's that opportunities to do business. So that's what I would be doing now. I would be mucking my EVs away as soon as possible and taking used petrol cars in, because you've got a 97.5% audience. It's a bit less now because, there's some cheap EVs coming on the market. But that's the way I'd be getting rid of my EVs. We've seen a clear uptick in consumer interest in used electric models on AutoTrader since the announcement, reinforcing the trend that EV shoppers explore both new and used options. Why do they? Why would you? Do they not know what they want? Or do they know what they want, and are they frightened to death of buying it? Because I'm pretty sure that privates, especially if they watch me, they'll know about AutoTrader Price Tracker, which is fantastic. Best thing. Honestly, AutoTrader Price Tracker for me is better than Glasses Guide, CAP, far better than AutoTrader, far better. And it is AutoTrader. AutoTrader's Insight and AutoTrader's dealer portal giving you prices don't seem to actually use the information. What they should do, they should ring up AutoTrader Price Tracker and say, bit embarrassing, but your app, is there any chance we can integrate it into our price guide? It's ridiculous. Here we go. The new EV market is far from reaching parity, however, and that's where the grant will have a key role to play in ensuring there's an EV for everyone. Expect to see pricing shifts among new EVs, especially from brands not qualifying for the full grant. But the lady on here, she said it under EVs under 37,000. Bit misinformed, bit inaccurate, and a bit misleading, if you don't mind me saying so, from the biggest name in the motor trade. Expect to see pricing shifts among new EVs, especially from brands not qualifying for the full grant, who'll need to stay competitive. But as for used EVs, prices are stable and still provide exceptional value, at least in the short term. Now then, that's all good. But then, I'm no rocket surgeon, honestly. But EV market, see, they've put some, AutoTrader Insight, they've put some graphs. Let me just show you the graphs. The announcement of a grant sparked a sizable increase in people looking at new EVs. EV share of the new car market, AutoTrader. The grey line, battery electric vehicle share of stock, 25%. And you're thinking, oh, bloody petrol, 75%. No wonder petrols are selling so many and EVs are struggling. But when you actually drill down into it, and I'll try and remember to do it, BEV share of stock, blue, BEV share of advert views. So the share of stock, the share of stock and the advert views, and that's just advert views, are less, and a lot less, 22% here. You see there, on the 6th of July for some reason, there's a bit of an uptick, as AutoTrader would say. And then also, I like the scales they use, because here, on the 14th of July, it's gone from 22% to 29%. So it's just gone past the battery electric vehicle share of stock. So you think, yeah, right, okay. Well, EV share of the new car market, it's a confusing graph, but 22 to 29. So it's been 24, it's 22 there, and it's gone up to 29%. Right, let's just go to the next one. This is the one that particularly interested me. But I look at this. This was seen largely on new EVs under the 37,000 threshold, with interest rising 100% on a week-on-week basis. 100%. Now, 1st of July to the 15th of July. 8th of July here, you'll see, I mean, this looks like a total shit show to me, this graph. I've always done bar graphs like this for my targets, and I always did it so that I knew at a glance how many cars I'd got to hit on a monthly basis, and as I sold one, I filled it in. And I knew how, you know, as we got towards the top and the end of the month, I knew how much harder I would have to try. Here, a week ago, red, sub 37,000s and total, minus 9%, minus 21%. There's basically only 2 days in the last 2 weeks that 14% there, the total, 14%, 1%. All the rest, they're in negative territory until the announcement. That looks to me to be dead in the water. Completely dead in the water. And I'm thinking, well, with interest rising 107% on a week-on-week basis, 0 to 107% there. It was basically in a day, but before that it was minus. I just don't get it. And I'm looking at this graph, and I just don't see how you can get that headline. Really, it's a complete misinformation. What we need to know is how many adverts, how many inquiries, how many views. Not 100%, not 107%, 107% of what? It was minus. Perhaps I'm totally misunderstanding this and somebody will explain, but we've not yet seen any price cuts from sellers to benefit from this grant, but buyers have shifted their EV preferences. New EV stock, new EV ads. It doesn't look impressive to me, that. It absolutely is not. I mean, that's totally underwhelming to me. A slight improvement in interest for used EVs suggests there's been no substitution from used to new because of the grant so far. "13th of July, it was 8%. 15th of July, 8.5%. Advert views. What we need to see really is the advert views of ICE cars, isn't it? To actually put it in perspective, we need to see how many views the ICE cars were getting. I lifted it, put it in, please make sense, well, please make sensio. How can they claim a massive increase in views when the days before views were actually showing less than 0? You're absolutely right to question the context of this chart. Let's break it down. What the graph shows: title claim, interest in new EVs, rose 107% week on week on 15th of July, based on ad views on AutoTrader. The bars show daily changes in the ad views. Black for all EVs, red for all EVs under 37,000, compared to the previous day. From July the 1st to July the 14th, both total and sub 37,000 EVs saw consistent negative or flat growth in ad views, ranging from minus 23% to plus 1%. In other words, interest was declining or stagnant for 2 full weeks. On July 15, suddenly there's a 63% jump in total EV views and a plus 107% spike for EVs under 37,000. The sudden reversal follows nearly 2 weeks of fall in demand. Why it seems misleading? Baseline distortion. Because interest had dropped so much beforehand, a large jump from a very low point can look disproportionately large in percentage terms. No volume shown. The graph gives percentage change, not actual view counts. So we don't know if 107% means 1,000 views became 2,070 or just 10 views to 20. Selective framing, this is what I was talking about before. The claim ignores the 2 weeks of decline leading up to the spike, focusing only on the final daily change. Likely explanation, the spike likely coincides with a policy announcement or news event on or just before July 15th, possibly the electric car grant announcement that would explain the sudden surge. So while the 107% figure is technically true, it's misleading without context, especially since it follows 2 weeks of losses. It's only based on a single day's rebound. There's no volume data to judge the actual significance. Would you like me to recreate this in a cleaned up graphic that shows the trend more clearly over time with actual values? And here we go. That's it. Basically, 1 day. It's got a little bit of interest on 1 day, a little bit before it was negative. This is the bullshit that these evangelists are feeding you, and people like, well, I won't mention the names because I'm fed up of mentioning them. They lap it up, regurgitate it on their channel, and before you know it, it kind of becomes a truth. It's a nothing. It's a negative. It shows you how badly they were doing. Even when there were thousands of pounds being knocked off the vehicles before, the only way they can spike more interest is by knocking potentially another 4 grand off. It's ludicrous. Clear review of the data. For 2 full weeks, views for all EVs and especially sub 37,000 EVs were consistently falling or stagnant. Then on 15th of July, ad views suddenly spiked, plus 63% for all EVs, plus 107% for EVs under 37,000. Key takeaway, the massive increase they reference only happened after a steep decline, making the rebound look dramatic. But it's from a low base. The graph helps highlight how the trend was negative or flat right until that 1 day. I'm afraid they're taking you for mugs. I'm sorry, but if you believe that and you believe percentages, you are a mug. We need to see figures, amounts. You're being lied to, and it's all the big boys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.